Hello, welcome back to Access at E3. Today I'm joined by Francesco from Avalanche Studios. Good to meet you, Francesco.
Hello,
how are you?
Nice to meet you.
I've just seen a presentation of Just Cause 3. Now, Just Cause 2, the world was huge. Mm-hmm. Just Cause 3 is even bigger. Just how big is the world of Just Cause 3?
So, if we consider just the surface of the world, it's basically the same as Just Cause 2. However, it's twice as high, so we worked a lot in increasing the opportunity for vertical gameplay. And the technology behind the terrain has totally changed, it has evolved. And what Just Cause 3 feature is what's called a volumetric terrain, which means that our artists are able to sculpt it as if it was clay. Which means for our player they will be able to find caves, tunnels, overhangs, meaning that the actual space that we use for gameplay, yes, it's even bigger than what you had in Just Cause 2.
And there seems to be increased ways for Rico to get around this world this time. We've had the grapple and the parachute before. Can you take us through some of the new ways he's got to traverse this landscape? I saw the wingsuit in there. It looks amazing.
Yes, it does, and it is. I can wait the moment that people will actually be able to play with that, because it's very, very thrilling. So, as you know, vertical traversal and vertical combat are a couple of things where we really, really want to excel, and so we spent a lot of resources in them. Now, whereas in Just Cause 2, you could shoot from a parachute, but it was mostly a hit or miss kind of thing, we've worked a lot to make the parachute itself a real combat platform. This has meant to stabilize it a little bit, okay? Give the player more control when it is on it, making it easier to combine the usage of the grappling hook with the parachute, okay? So so that Rico can slingshot himself into the world. At the same time, we've decided to add another ingredient, so now we have a trinity of traversal with the grappling hook, the parachute, and our wingsuit. The wingsuit, which is tailored for high speed, long distance or short distance, doesn't matter, but high speed traversal of the world itself.
And we saw in the presentation that he was using the wingsuit, and as he was using it, he was grappling things in the distance to pull himself along. So it looked like he was flying, basically.
Yes.
If you're a skilled player, can you pretty much just fly across this world?
Yes, absolutely, yes. So we've put also a great deal in effort to give depth to these mechanics, so that if you take up the game, it's pretty much pick up and play. In 5 minutes, you can totally master the wingsuit, the parachute, and the grappling hook, at least at their basic level, and begin, to switch from one to the other seamlessly. But give the game a bit more time and challenge yourself a little bit more, and then the way you will discover that there is a great deal of possibility which opens up the moment you combine the different mechanics. As you were saying, you can slingshot yourself to the world with the wingsuit. Now consider also, maybe we talk a little bit more about this later, one of the new mechanics that we have, we call it the retract. When you dual tether two objects, in Just Cause 3, at the top of a button, you can have the grapple while retract, so that the two objects smash against each other, right? So we have this concept. Now, progressing into the game, a player gains the ability of actually using the retract while he's slingshotting with the parachute or with the wingsuit, effectively slingshotting himself, so giving him an extra boost. This is, I would say, totally unrealistic if you want, but it works so well, and it makes sense within our physics that we could not have this opportunity into the game. So to going back, answer your question, yes, in theory, also in practice, you can fly through the world without ever touching ground, to the point that we also have a brag for this. So you will have the possibility to challenge your friends and see who's the one who's able to stay longer in wingsuit.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there that it wasn't very realistic, but it doesn't seem like realism is very high on the agenda of Just Cause 3. And we saw in the presentation that gas stations, everyone loved blowing up gas stations in Just Cause 2, and now you've basically given them loads of opportunities to just blow them up again and again and again and again.
Yes.
Like explosions and just wanton but beautiful destruction seems to be very important as well.
Yes, absolutely, yes. So I like to call our game a playground for destruction. So the more the better in terms of opportunity for destruction and possibility to do it in a variety of different ways. Now, it's true that we are not realistic, but actually we are. because the world works according to a real physics model. Okay, the only thing which changes a little bit from reality is gravity. It's just a tad lighter, so you can jump a bit higher. Things can go down a little bit slower, so that you can appreciate more the result of an explosion. But nonetheless, being based on physics has the result that the game is extremely intuitive, because you know how things falls. You know what happens when you smash something against something else, you know? So it's pretty cool and immediate to get into it.
And we saw things like he was in a plane and he used the plane not to traverse, but almost as a weapon, as a bullet.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess there's so many ways you can destroy things and tackle objectives. Do you want to create a world where people, say maybe 50, 100 hours into it, are still finding new ways to blow things up and complete objectives?
Yes, that's exactly the goal, if you want. So in the game we have a variety of things to do, okay? There's not just blowing shit up, there are challenges. For example, we have a super advanced physics model for our vehicles. Let's say it's not for granted that in an open world you find vehicles that are there's such a depth in the way that you can handle them, and so you have races, right? It's not, you have defeats, you have random encounters, you have a lot of stuff. You also feature a proper mission structure this time. However, at the end of the day, what we care most and your primary objective, it's always going to be to blow shit up. So from a design side, more than scratching our head around asking the player to do 10,000 different things, we ask you to do one thing, but we give you the option of doing that in an endless variety of ways.
And we also saw that he was able to cool things in from the sky, and they would just parachute down. So basically, if you find yourself in an area where you don't have something you want, you can just cool it in and it drops down.
Yes. So there is a narrative backdrop, right? You are spearheading a revolution. So rebels are your friends, and the more you take control of military infrastructure, the more toys the rebels have access to, and those toys can be rebel dropped to you at the whim of a moment, right? I need a tank now. You have it dropped down there for you.
And you mentioned that you've got vehicles in there, you've got races and other little side activities. There's also stunt challenges mentioned as well. Can you give us a little kind of hint as to what they are?
That's to an area of the game that we have polished and evolved from Just Cause 2. So if you've played Just Cause 2, you will remember that when Rico is standing on top of a vehicle, he's fixed on a position. He's stuck there. Okay, there we had our designers authoring fixed positions of the vehicle, and Rico was basically moving from one position to the other. In Just Cause 3, you're actually free to traverse top of the vehicle. As you would be in reality, maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, it's really, really cool to go on top of a cargo plane with your RPG and walk through the wings to take down a target there and then another target there. So.
And just to wrap up, the key thing for Just Cause 2, for me anyway, was the grapple. It's like the most versatile thing in there, and I loved just tethering things together and seeing how they reacted. You mentioned that you can do a thing where you make it retract now, so we saw in the presentation he made a statue smack itself in the face to take it down. Could you give us maybe one or two examples of things you can do with the grapple in Just Cause 3 that you just couldn't do before?
Yes, so the retract is one of the big features, right? So, and another thing that we've done since the beginning, and this is probably since what was the first mod for Just Cause 2, the infinite grapple, right? So we've tried to work so that our engine could hang on multiple grappling hooks in the world, and indeed in this moment you can have up to 6 together. So imagine yourself preparing a setup where you tether 12 things together, maybe you plant also a couple of explosives here and there, then you go perch atop of your tower, tap 2 buttons and see, the Armageddon happening just in front of your eyes. That's the kind of stuff that I like.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Francesco. The game's looking absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait to start blowing stuff up. That is Just Cause 3. Make sure you stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, because we've got absolutely loads coming up all the way through E3.